it's vulnerability, like in a nutshell. That's what I think that's the scary part, is really like taking off the mask and being like, hey, this is who I am.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a guest on, Megan, that I met through Facebook, and I really like some of the things that she was doing with her page and with her community, which I think is very, very important as you're building a business, is how do you really engage a community around your business? Welcome to the show, Megan.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here. Excited to talk.
Absolutely. So Megan, tell us a little bit about your background and then we'll talk about your business.
Sure. Yeah. So my business story is actually kind of interesting because I started my business in 2011, technically, like Thanksgiving. I signed up for my first business opportunity with network marketing. In 2011, I had already graduated college and I moved to Los Angeles to pursue film, TV, theater, the LA acting life. That's a real struggle sometimes. And I was supporting myself by doing cocktailing at bars and background work and things like that. And I got into Beachbody and I didn't really do too much with it right away. And then after about like, I would say a year and a half of like dipping my toe in and kind of doing it when I felt like it really started to take off because I realized, oh, if I actually treat this like a business, I can make real money. So once that light bulb went off I'm going to try to keep it short because there's so much more to that and we might dive in more. I went all in and in about, I would say like 2 years from there. So it was kind of like a 3-ish year process. Or no, I should say actually a year. I was able to quit those other jobs. And then a year later, I was able to hit my first 6 figures just with that company. And it was crazy how it felt slow at the time, but how quick when I really look back, like 4 years from doing nothing pretty much the first year and a half to that. And I loved it. I fell in love with it, loved the company. But I quickly realized like I wanted to do something a little bit more. I was getting a lot of inquiries for coaching outside of that company. And so I started my own health and wellness company outside of it. Really quickly realized my expertise and my passions lied in business coaching. And that was actually the part of network marketing I loved, was helping other people build their business and social media and all of that. Not really the health part. Love health, love fitness, still very much a part of my life, but I didn't want to like talk about it and teach it all the time. And so dove into that. And 2 years later, here we are. We have a 7-figure business. We are helping women all over the world now. And some men too. We have some men too, but we mainly help women, just gonna be honest. And it's just been a whirlwind, so many lessons, so many ups and downs. And I also am a performer. So I also sing and act and do musical theater. Every like other year I'll do a show and I love doing it for fun. So that's in a nutshell. It's my story.
Wow. I mean, quite the journey. I
Yeah.
definitely think, like I said, from the hustle that you had when you went to LA with it, just doing the side job and the odd job, definitely
Yeah.
says a lot about you.
It was a lot of work. But it was great. I always say I think everyone should experience a service-based job at least once in their life. I've had many, like throughout high school and then college, and then that you learn patience and you learn hard work, and you learn how to be a people person, how to really deal with different personalities. So I don't regret it 1 second. I'm like, I needed to go through that for a while, which was good.
Awesome. So now speaking of that, is like I said, that service background. Let's talk a little bit about, your current business now and the types of services you offer there.
Yeah. So like I said, mainly doing business coaching. And I mainly help online entrepreneurs who want to start and scale their business to full time. And that could, look like different for every single person. But one of the things I really hone in on is helping women get really clear on their branding and who they are and how they want to show up on social media. And also embracing who they are. So my brand is called the Pretty Awkward Brand. So the name itself is like weird. But I started that because I actually, my fitness business took off when I started making fun of the fitness industry. To be quite honest, I've saw so many fitness coaches doing this certain pose that everyone did. And I couldn't do this pose. And I was like, this is just crazy. I don't know why I'm trying to be like everyone else and like do this thing. And so I stopped trying to fit that mold, and actually people loved it. They loved that I was calling out the craziness of it and like, why are we all doing this? And I really just embrace like what makes me me, what makes me unique, what makes me fun and quirky and different, and makes people want to like stay and hang out, and feel like they're really welcome no matter what. And that I ran with that, and it felt, people say be authentic, be authentic, be authentic. You don't have to be authentic when your brand is you. You just are. You know what I mean? So that's really what I hone in on helping my clients with, is how can we leverage what makes you different to attract clients? Then you will always bring in people that you love working with, that vibe with you, that have very similar personalities, goals, have, similar visions, want to do incredible things with their life, believe in the same causes, believe in the same social justice things. Like you really can start to attract that kind of person. And so I help through different programs. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but that's like really what I like to hone in on.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's a really good point, because that's one of those things that I find for even myself, is just getting to reaching that point where I was comfortable with the reality that, you know what, I'm not trying to attract everybody to be my client. You just got to be authentic to what you offer and who you are. And then, hey, the
Yeah,
people who need that, or the people who are looking for that, you will connect.
exactly.
So what do you find to be some of the challenges that people have to just really accepting, them being them?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think it's so funny. I remember back in when I was doing health and fitness coaching outside of my network marketing company, I was so terrified to share it's vulnerability, like in a nutshell. That's I think that's the scary part, is really like taking off the mask and being like, hey, this is who I am, and all of it. And I'm not saying like you have to, I don't know why the skeletons in my closet is the thing I'm thinking. It's not like you have to share your whole personal life, all of the private stuff. I'm not saying that. Like, I still keep my private life private. But it's really sharing that story that is so going to connect with your ideal client. That's really scary to share, because maybe you don't want a family member to see it, or you don't want a friend to see it or judge you, or you don't even want to admit it to yourself that you went through this thing. And I had a moment where in health and fitness, I shared how when I reached a certain level in my business, I started to go downhill with my health and fitness, because I put so much pressure on myself to keep that up. And so I started self-soothing. It was basically imposter syndrome. And I started self-soothing with food and with alcohol. And here I am being a health and fitness coach. And I was like, over consuming, to the point where sometimes I was binging. And that was so terrifying to admit. And I did that for a while, and I avoided sharing that story for so long. The second I shared that story, like, clients were flocking to me, because they're like, this is what I'm going through. Oh my gosh, you got through this. You can help me too. So I think helping people realize, one, you don't have to share it all. You can share it as you get comfortable, but start peeling back the onion and start sharing like little bits and pieces of what really, really was the tipping point for you. I hope that answered the question, but like that was like the biggest turning point, I think.
No, I think that definitely did answer the question. Now, I know you mentioned about some of the programs that you have.
Yeah.
Definitely feel free. Let's talk about
Cool. I love it. I love it. Brag time. No. So I have a bunch of different programs for different levels. So like I said, I help women start and scale. And again, we've had men join programs. I even have a program called Launch Like a Lady Boss, and we've had a couple men join. So they're like, can I join this? I'm like, yeah, go for it. You're welcome. Totally welcome. I think like I'll totally dive in. I think that's just an example too of, if you really speak your truth and you're super confident, you almost can't niche down too much, because I very clearly speak to women, and my program was called Lady Boss, and men have joined it. So that just shows you that, like, it doesn't mean that people outside of that aren't going to still join. So it's just kind of like a fun little fact. But my program for really beginner, I mainly help online coaches, but I have helped people outside of the online coaching space too, is a program called the Pretty Awkward Posse. And it's my membership subscription program. It's a monthly membership. You can join and then leave anytime. And every single month we have master classes, we have live coaching threads. So it's the highest touch coaching at the lowest price that I offer. I'm in there every day, and it's really for people who are either getting their feet wet with their business, wanting to learn things all over the map, from client attraction, marketing, social media, messaging, selling, getting on sales calls, following up, all of that. But at their own pace, and if they really don't have a lot of money to invest when you're just starting out. So that's the first program in the product suite, I would say. Then I have a program called Client Attraction University. We go through a lot of the same kinds of things. We go from getting clear on your ideal client all the way to actually selling. So creating your offer, making sure you're talking to the right person, how to post on social media, how to attract them, how to get on sales calls. So it's really the goal of that program. It's 12 weeks, it's group coaching, it's only a certain number of people. We really help you start and then have clients by the end. That's the goal. Obviously, everyone is different. Everyone has different levels. So sometimes you're building that foundation during the program, and then everything starts to happen after. But that's like, I want to go all in. It's a little bit of a higher, it's not a little bit, it's a lot of a higher investment than the other one. But it's really for people who are like, I want to go all in. And I do weekly coaching calls. I'm in private Slack channel every week, every day with them. So that's much more high touch. And then I have a self-paced course called Launch Like a Lady Boss, which is if you want to learn how to, you have an offer, you want to launch it on social media in a way that really brings people in. Launching just meaning having a strategic way to sell your program and be like, hey, come and get it right now. Organically, not evergreen behind the scenes. That's that program. And then lastly, I have 2 masterminds, and that's probably my like favorite. Not that I want to pick like favorite. I feel like they're my kids, all of these programs. But my masterminds, I have one called Six Figure Level Up Mastermind. It's 10 women max. And then VIP Mastermind, the Pretty Awkward VIP Mastermind, and that's 5 women max. And I run those for 6 months throughout the year. Next one starts July and we end in December. And that's very high touch. It's kind of a combination between group and one-on-one. I do one-on-one calls with them every month, but then also group calls. We have a live event, which COVID pending, not sure when that will be, but it's happening. And that's really for women who are already making the first level, who are already making $5,000 a month in their business and want to really scale to 10K plus consistent and get really clear on things like product suite, kind of what I just explained, and systems and hiring and finance. We were talking about that before we started recording. Like, okay, now I'm making money. I'm making good money. What do I do with it? Where do I invest it? How do I save it? How do I taxes? All that kind of stuff. I bring in experts for that, by the way. I don't teach that because that's not my expertise. I was talking to you about that before, but and I really love that. That's like my favorite thing to teach. And then the VIP is for women who are already making $15,000 a month and really want to scale to multiple 6 figures and higher, and just go to that next level. I feel like that's the level where a lot of people need those small little mindset tweaks that really help them step into that next level entrepreneur. And that's what I did last year. And so that's why I'm really passionate about those 2 masterminds, and then one-on-one coaching. So it's a lot of stuff.
But one of the things I really like about it is that if you're, no matter where you are in your business process, it's like you have a product that fits the level that they're at.
Yeah.
So, they're just starting off, there's something for them. If they're ready to take things to the next level, there's something for them. And I think that that's a great approach to where people can get a lot out of it. So have you found that people have just come back to you at different levels where they started off and now they're back to like, hey, we want to grow our business to the next level?
Yeah, totally. 100%. And that's the thing I do mainly with the mastermind, where the women are making around 5K and scaling, is they usually get to that level with 1, maybe 2 offers. So, and same thing, like this all happened over years. It didn't happen all right now. It took a while to get here. But the reason we were able to get here is because we started to build on top of each other. And it's kind of just like you said, I realized, okay, after someone graduated this program, they were ready for this next thing, but I didn't have that next thing. So that's when I started to create the next level program. And then my membership for people who weren't quite ready to go there, but still wanted regular accountability without like investing an arm and a leg in a one-on-one coach, So I do think it's really helpful to have that, but it's definitely going to take some time. But just like think to yourself, after someone goes through this program, what's the goal? What's the transformation I'm helping them get to? What would be that next level program that they would go to? I've had actually now, I think 3 or 4 women from my group coaching program be in my high level mastermind, to go into my higher level that started in that group program. And it's really cool to see how they've like gone on their journey. I don't know the statistic, but I know that it's so much easier to re-sign a client or keep a client than sign someone new. So it's really about nurturing that relationship once they're in. They can almost become like a lifer for you. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah. And I would say from a finance standpoint, that is one of the things that I notice as I analyze any business, whether it's been Fortune 500 companies to startups, whereas you really make the profit in your business from repeat business.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean, once you have that relationship and you're nurturing that relationship and they've seen the value of what you offer,
Yeah.
it's the continuing to provide them with value. That's where your business starts to hit profitability.
Yeah, 100%. And I think people underestimate that. They're like, cool, I got them in. And it's like, great, but how do you like really nurture? Like, obviously, I hope most people would actually deliver on what they promise. But even thinking long term, like, how can I really help this person throughout their career if possible? And
Mhm.
even if that is letting them go, this has happened a couple times to me where, a client contracts end and I point them in the right direction if they don't feel that they want to continue or go into another program. I've had multiple people come back months later. And it's because we ended it on a high note and I didn't make them feel bad for not continuing. I said, if this is what you want next, here's a resource for you. Here's a coach I recommend. And I've had so many people come back because of that. And because sometimes you need to go off on your own and realize, oh, wait, I actually do want to go back, and I do
Yeah.
need that help. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
been pretty cool.
Awesome, awesome. And I think to your point, like I said, it's really good that you bring in experts and just people who have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Um, because I think that really helps give the client or the person going through the class, it gives them the chance to hear from a different perspective, but to get what they need. Because I know there have been a couple coaches that have contacted me to teach, whether it's like a 3-day segment on like finance and accounting for your business, to where
Yeah.
they were like, this isn't my expertise, but can you help, fill in this gap in the course program? And I
Yeah.
always tell them, although you guys see me posting videos and I'm doing like 6 to 10 interviews, do not call me for marketing. That's not what I do.
That's not your thing. Yeah. 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 For sure.
This is just kind of like,
Yeah.
I've learned that lesson of, hey, I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I'll help fill in the gaps for other people and they help fill in the gaps for me. But I think that's a good
Yeah.
point about being clear about what you do and being comfortable of leveraging other professionals.
Yeah, 100%. It lets you support other people too. It's great. And you shouldn't have to be amazing at everything. I don't really know anyone who is. It sounds very overwhelming. So yeah, numbers, I'm going to you. I'm not a numbers person. So I'll teach you the marketing. You can teach the numbers. That's great.
Awesome. So where can people find you if they're looking for you online or in social media?
Yeah, so I hang out mostly on Instagram, I would say. So it's just at Megan Yelaney, Meganyelaney. I have a podcast, the Pretty Awkward #Pretty Awkward entrepreneur podcast. So we hang out there a lot, and then my Facebook community is #Pretty Awkward female entrepreneurs. So you can look for those. I'd say those are the main places I'm hanging out. I have a website, meganyelaney.com. We're revamping that. But there's a bunch of stuff there too. So pick your poison, I guess.
Awesome. So before we wrap up, a question that I like to ask all the guests that come on is, what's one or two pieces of wisdom that you've learned in your entrepreneurial journey that you're like, entrepreneurs need to learn this?
Yeah, been thinking about this one. um, there's so many. It's one of those questions that you're like, there's too many answers and I can't even think of one. But one of the biggest things that I've really learned this year, and last year too. Last year was our biggest growth ever, and it almost seemed, and I don't want to say it was easy, but I really focused on the actual journey. And I think we get so hyper focused on hitting the goal, making that X amount of money that month, right? We want to hit that 10K month. We want to get those 5 clients. And that's great. Goals are awesome. But I found when I focused on like, what can I do every day that makes me happy and that brings me joy, that has to do with my business, but also doesn't. So for me, that's like singing, walking, literally going outside and going for a walk. Like those kinds of things that have nothing to do with my business, hands down, help me with my business. Because when we're just so hyper focused on the goal and we put so much pressure on ourselves to like, we are not worthy unless we hit this goal, you're gonna get to the goal and be like, that was it, like this doesn't feel great, you know what I mean? And I had that moment in Beachbody. That's why I love the company, they're incredible. But I remember like hitting this big accolade in the business and walking across the stage, and it was just like this big recognition. And I looked out in the audience, I was like, this was it, because I didn't really enjoy the journey. I was so stressed and focused, like in not the great way, you know? So that's my biggest tip, is enjoy the process, work with people you love working with. Realize that it's going to take a little bit longer than you probably think to have the success you want. But if you're in this because you love it and you can't not do it, then there's really no time limit. So just be patient and have fun with it too. Hope that was useful.
No, that is good. I think that is, I absolutely agree with that. And I even have to remind myself of that at times.
Me too.
Um,
I'm with you.
because I think it's so important. So
Yeah.
yes, Megan, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for sharing the wisdom. We'll definitely add the one pager so people can find you and they can see all the updates of what's going on, and they can follow you on social media. So thank you so much. And they can listen to your podcast too.
Yeah. You're going to be on there soon, so it'll be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.